Hello everyone, my name's Tim and I am the Silver Coder. Today we're going to look at objects and classes. Could be a dull subject, but nevertheless an important one when we are learning to program, and in this case here we're trying to do Object Pascal. And in doing so we're also going to have another look at the structure of a unit. So if you can remember from one of our previous videos, then a unit has an interface and an implementation. The interface section is like a header file which has its own set of units which it uses, and then declarations of other classes, procedures, classes, methods, etc. What's defined in or declared in the interface section is exported to the outside world and can be used by a calling by other code. Then the implementation section of a unit contains, let's say, the meat and the potatoes, which provides the code which implements all of the classes which may be in the interface section and so on. Now if we were to let's call this person profile. If we were to have a person's profile like you might see on Reddit, or perhaps even in a dating app or whatever else, you might have a set of properties in which that say something about the person, or that can be executed or invoked on that object. So if we're in a gaming world, for instance, then with a person or a player couldn't, you could tell it to move from one location to another. It may examine an object. You could ask a mail server as another object to send a mail item, which is another object. So all of these things, objects then are of some type, and that type is represented by a class. The class then will have, in here has 3 distinct sections, one of which is called private and the other is protected, and the last one is public. So if we have if we were to have, let's say, a person, I'm just going to put it at the end here, and let's call this person profile here, then anything that is public can be accessed from here. Anything which is protected or private cannot be accessed by the L person, and can only be used either internally or by a descendant class. So let's say again, if we were to go into a gaming world, you might have a NPC who is a vendor, and it might have an inventory list which is the same thing as the player itself. So that might be a protected member, and where something that is private is only accessible within the class itself and cannot be accessed from anywhere else. So if we look at a person profile again, we might have properties like name, we'll give that a string. We might have a date of birth. That will be a t-date time. We might have some interests as well. This one here will become interesting in a few minutes, but you'll understand why. interests, and this will be a string list because I might like to do programming, cooking, or gardening. Let's say 3 things. We've got more than one interest. And what else? I might have a bio here. That would be a string. And the last one, let's have a created, when the person was added to the system, e.g. if it was Reddit. So we could then ask created here, and that will be a t date time again. Now if we were to use now code completion, so Control Shift and C, it will give us a whole bunch of code. Now the thing here which we perhaps don't really want is we don't want to do a holus bolus changing of interests like that. So we're going to get rid of this one here, and in its place, so we can take out this particular the setter there and take out that method there. But here you can see we have a list of getters here and some setters here. Now if we were to add in let's add in a couple of potential methods. So what can we do on a person profile? We might want to say time in system, and let's make that a t date time for the sake of the argument. And then we might want to have function age, because we don't really want to give away their date of birth perhaps. And that's where we're going to go for the moment. So let's just put some code into here, and that we could do here is result equals now minus the f created here, and for the age it would be minus f date of birth. And so something like, so now the like I said, the data, these particular properties here, we could not be accessed outside the class, except through these properties here. So you could ask it for their date of birth or when they were created. Now the problem here is going to be, how do we add something to their interests? Well, we would need to add a function for that now. Add interest, and we will say a name, and we'll just make that a string as well, and we will add some code here. So we could say f interests dot add a name. All well and good. We know that a string list has an add function, but the problem here is, when was this particular type created, because it itself is a class. If we were to want to go and look at the declaration, we can see it here, and it, like I said, is a class, and a class has to be created. Why? Because Object Pascal uses an object referencing model, which means that for, unless it's, let's say, a string or an integer or other basic types, they live in the heap and therefore need to be created before they're used themselves. So now we need to add in the idea of a constructor, and should the person get removed from the system, you need to consider a destructor. So let's add these in now. So So here we will have our constructor and destructor. So now let's put some code into here, and let's just say here we might do f created equals now, and the next one we would do is f interests equal to the sign t string list dot create. Now, because we want to be good programmers, when we want to remove something, anything which we have also created needs to be removed as well. So here in the destructor, we will need to remove the string list that we created. Another thing, just as an aside, another thing that a person might have, just to complete the picture, and again if we're looking at a Reddit type scenario, you've got social links as well. So we can, let's go here, property, social links, and that would also be a t string list here, and let's do that one again. We're going to get rid of this one here, and get rid of that one, and hang on, let me get rid of that one. And now again, if we've added this one here into our class, then we may want to have here, then we may want to add a social link. So let's just do here add social link, go back down to there, and here this one here now would be f social links dot add there, and again here we would do, in the constructor again, we would need to create one of these, and again here free that. Now, so if we were to go over here and into our button, we've got a form here with a button basically, and we want to then use this unit. And then we could declare a L person is TPER person profile here. Then what you could, here's another thing, what you can also do is you could actually have another constructor where you could pass in a name as well. We won't worry about that for today, but that's another possibility. So what you can do here now is to do something like, because it is like I said, an object reference model, whereas in, let's say C++, for instance, you might be able to get away with something like that, where it gets created on the stack, but that's not how the way Pascal works. So if you do declare a variable of a particular type, which is a class, then you have to create it, do something with it, and once you've done that, you'll then I no longer need it, and it gets freed. If you were to get the Object Pascal handbook by Marco Cantu, it would tell you more about objects and classes, and it also implements, I think, or describes something similar to a smart pointer. so that you can sort of forget about having to free the person, because you can wrap, let's say, this up in something else, and it will automatically do the freeing for you. The big thing to note is that if you do create something and you, let's say, you don't free it after it's no longer when it's no longer needed, like if this line wasn't here, then you would have a memory leak to deal with. So let's suppose now tlperson.name is let's call it Joe Brown, and let's just, what we'll do here, we'll just chuck a memo on here for the sake of the exercise. Here it is, and we'll just drop one of them there. And just to show you what's happened simply with that constructor, and by using only one property, what's actually happened here. And what we'll do now is memo1.lines dot add here, and what we will do is lperson and next thing we'll just add in quickly here will be the let's do that dot, I wonder if I can, to string, and let's see if that will work, shall we? If it doesn't work, well, we can easily make it work. So we're running that now. So and now that our program's running, let's just click the button, and you can see here the name and when it was created. So so that's about it for this particular video. And just to summarize, we looked at what a class is, that Object Pascal uses an object reference model, which means if you want to use something that's a class, it needs to be created for use. We also looked at the different sections of a class, how public members can be accessed by the object, or by an instance of the object, how you've got a protected section which can only be used by classes which would inherit this particular or descend from this particular class, and then there are private attributes and methods which can only be used from within the class itself. And lastly, in the public section, we looked at looked at how properties can be used as a means to access the attributes. That the interface section is basically is what gets exported to the outside world and can be and then can be used. And in doing so, you also get a bit of an insight into what is private or protected, but you can't, like I said, access them. And it's in the implementation section where the meat and potatoes of the actual methods is contained. And like I said, if you do have something like here where we do have other classes being attributes of of a particular class, then they also need to be, created and freed as necessary. If this got something out of this video and you like the content, don't forget to hit the like button. You can also subscribe, hit that notification bell so when there's more content coming out. And until next time, happy coding and bye for now.